What's up guys, Donovan Wagner here, and today we're talking about editing photos. So I'm going to go through where I edit, how I edit, and why I edit. Stick around. Alright, so something I get asked a lot is why I edit photos, for one, how I edit my photos, if I use presets. So I was just going to break this down for you guys. So obviously it's important to get it right in the camera, yes, but professional photographers still edit their photos, and there's reasons why they do that. So I'm going to go through a couple examples with you guys, showing you the before and the after, and then we're going to go through and edit a photo together so I can show you my workflow, how I work within Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop. Okay, so why do you edit a photo? So yes, if you get it right in the camera, that saves you a ton of time in post-production. However, you can still get so much more out of a picture by going into these tools like Lightroom, Photoshop, and just making those pictures really pop and come to life. Things that you can change in a photo include your brightness, your contrast, so there's room for error there, and as well as dramatic effect. If you want to add severe shadows on one side or boost the highlights in another part of the photo, you can do that in post-production. Things you can't edit is facial expressions, focus. There's still a lot of skill that goes into taking the photo properly, but there's also things you can do in post-production and retouching that really helps. So the programs I use for editing is Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop. So I purchased the Adobe Creative Cloud, which allows me to have these Adobe programs, and I pay a monthly subscription of, I think, $10.99 a month. So I will add links to everything below. There are a ton of other good programs out there for editing photos. These are just what I use. So first thing I'll do is when I import a photo, I will do the basic adjustments, and this is where presets really come in handy. So I personally use Manny Ortiz's presets religiously. So these are my favorite ones. I've tried a handful of VSCO, I've tried a handful of black and white presets, but Manny Ortiz has a good balance of portraiture and commercial. Like, they have a really good fit with my style. So I use Manny Ortiz presets. I will add a link in the description below for you guys to check them out. Now, presets aren't just one click done. Some people work that way, but myself, that's just a baseline for me. So I will apply a preset, I will look at what it did to the photo, pick my favorite one, and I'll still go in and I'll edit and fine tune it from there. But the preset just allows a nice baseline that gets you out of that RAW and saves you a ton of time messing around with sliders. So once I have my preset put onto the photo and I've done my final edits that I find tasteful, I will then right click the image and go over into edit in Adobe Photoshop. So this saves you from exporting the photo and re-importing it in Photoshop. This just sends it over as a TIFF file and you can edit directly from there. So once the photo is in Photoshop, that's where I will go in and I'll do my skin retouching and anything that needs to be kind of cloned out or anything that I couldn't quite control the way I like to in Lightroom. So mainly what I'm doing in Photoshop is I'm just fixing blemishes on skin, or if somebody's in the background and I need to clone them out, that's one thing I'll do in Photoshop. As well as I never add a vignette to my photo in Lightroom. Thank you to my friend Mark for teaching me this trick. Instead, I bring it into Photoshop. I will use the lasso tool by hitting L on my keyboard. That'll bring up the lasso tool. I will draw a weird squiggly line around where my subject, and then I will go and click on curves on the bottom right here. And once I bring down the exposure here the way I like it, I will apply a filter, Gaussian blur, which evens it out nice and smooth and draws your eye to the subject without having a typical vignette that you get in Lightroom or other programs. So this is just a cool way of making your own custom vignette, and it really helps things pop. So that is pretty much all I'm doing in Photoshop for the majority of the time, unless I'm actually cutting things out as PNGs or if I'm masking stuff out. But most 99% of the time for my work, all I'm doing is these simple things in Photoshop. When you're done, hit Control or Command S, that'll save it, and magically it will reappear in Lightroom with the Photoshop edits made to it. So once I have that, I will just simply export the photo to the file I want it to go to, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So that is how I edit my photos. I try to be very effective and not waste a lot of time in editing. especially on commercial shoots with hundreds of photos on the line. It can just really save you time by getting a nice process down. So those are my tips, and that is why I edit a photo, how I edit a photo, and where I edit a photo. If you guys have any more questions about editing, or maybe you have some tips that you'd like to share, leave a comment below. I will do my best to reach out to everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. This series was filmed at the Hiilite Creative Group studio in Kelowna, British Columbia, and is made with the help of our creative team. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and check us out at hiilite.com.